welcome back to the She Gallery show. You are here with us live, actually in Denver, Colorado, with guest East.
The heart of the rhino.
Yeah, that's where we're at. So no matter where we're at, we're still with you, and that's very important. I've been traveling with East, Denver, and South Dakota, various areas of South Dakota, and we're moving on to Wyoming. So we're very grateful to be here with you tonight. We had a pre-recorded session in South Dakota at the Cheyenne River Youth Project, and unfortunately we weren't able to capture all of that recording, but we are going to share with you a little bit of what we do have right after this segment, because Omari and our team at CAN TV is just that awesome for being able to facilitate that. And you are with us live, which means that you are welcome to join this conversation, call in, and join the conversation. We have an entire season of great guests, great stories, continuing great platforms. Next week, we'll have Angie 179 from Seattle joining us, who was part of this year's Red Can annual graffiti jam at the Cheyenne River Youth Project. And today we're just going to recap a little bit on what we've done so far and talk to East about his contributions with family resemblance, the evolution of Chicago style graffiti and how it's moved on to various cities, states. You've met some of our guests, including Deer and Kodak from his crew ATT that started in 1987 in Chicago and its influence. And tonight you'll hear a little bit more about his influence with Red Can and his contributions to this amazing organization. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about She Gallery itself, how it started in 2014 with a series of dreams and the importance of remaining in touch with yourself and paying attention to your dreams in yourself. When I say dreams, I don't always necessarily mean goals. I mean literally dreams, meditations, any spiritual guidance that you feel like you may be receiving is something very important to pay attention to. So in 2015, we hosted our first exhibition, Paveway, which I wanted to recognize the importance of educating the public on the difference between street art and graffiti, and just education on graffiti itself. And we've been very, very, very blessed to work with great pioneers, including East, including Penguin, including Trickster, and many more who we represented at Family Resemblance, the Evolution of Chicago Style Graffiti. Cannot thank these platforms enough, including CAN TV, the Epiphany Center, and even now the Newberry Library, who you will hear a little bit more about. So I'm just going to hand over the word to East so he can talk to us a little bit more about his background, both with Family Resemblance, the Evolution of Chicago Style Graffiti, and Red Can.
Yeah, so basically the Family Resemblance showcase that she created at the Epiphany Center was spotlighting first generation graffiti artists and their influences. And not just their influences on themselves, but the way the influence spread out citywide and then in many cases to other cities and other states. I guess there's several videos, several interviews that are already on CAN TV that you can view all of the people who participated in that show. You can watch their videos, hear about their history and everything. But we want to talk more about how that also kind of feeds into what just occurred, which was the Red Can Invitational Graffiti Jam in Eagle Butte, South Dakota. That started about 8 years ago, and my now adoptive sister, Julie Garrow, who heads up the CRYP out there, was one of the founding members and brainchilds behind this whole event. I was brought in originally as just a participating artist and a bit of an anchor artist, just trying to use my experiences, my knowledge, and the people that I happen to know throughout the graffiti community worldwide to try and get them to focus and come in to Eagle Butte for this event. It started literally as a hope and a dream 8 years ago. My sister wasn't sure it would go more than a year or two, and here we are now 8 years deep, and it's become a world-recognized phenomenon. The world's eyes are definitely on Eagle Butte, South Dakota, which I'm sure is something that she never expected or anybody would have ever expected. It's just a small, very small town right outside of, well, not right outside, but more like 3 hours outside of Rapid City, which is probably the closest major city. And there's not much there. There's not a whole lot of infrastructure. There's not a whole lot to do outside of, the movie theater, some basketball courts, things like that. I mean, we're talking about just bare bones, a small town that I'm sure questioned why they even needed an event like this. Why would people be coming in from all over the world, or all these other cities and states, just to come here and paint murals and work with the youth? But any skepticism that maybe was there the first couple of years seems to have definitely dwindled, and if not at all, faded away. And the community looks forward to the event every year. And you saw that, right? There's just so many people that come by, they scream, they holler, they take pictures, they give us a thumbs up and tell us how they just look forward to the artists coming into town, beautifying the community, working with the kids, all of that. And like I said, all eyes now are on Eagle Butte, South Dakota. So it's been really, a blessing and incredibly unique and interesting experience to be able to take what I've learned in graffiti and not just influence other graffiti artists now, but actually help influence a whole culture, the Lakota culture, and the way they embrace the graffiti. I guess that culture as well. I mean, the two have become melded in this event every year. So I think it was my sister said in that previous interview, and as she had stated before, it was like two underdogs coming together. What's going on with the indigenous people and all of their battles, and their unique fights, and those of the graffiti artists. Also, it was just trying to, in many cases, just say, hey, I'm out here, and I matter. Notice me. I'm putting my name out here. It's just another form of expression. And those two underdogs have seemed to come together in Eagle Butte, South Dakota, and melded perfectly. So it's created quite an incredible event, and I hope that if anybody who's viewing this can look into that. You can just do the easiest way to find any information about it is probably just to do the hashtag #RedCanRising, and that will give you access to the Wanietu Wapi Art Park. I am so sorry if I'm butchering that. That's a hard one. And other Instagrams that can give you information, and then you can kind of go to LakotaYouth.org, which is the Cheyenne River Youth Project's official website, and find out more information. But if you can ever get that on your calendar to go visit, it's a must see.
So last year when we were promoting and celebrating Family Resemblance the Evolution Chicago Style Graffiti exhibit, there was a plan for Julie, the executive director of Cheyenne River Youth Project, to come out with her students and visit this exhibit and support it. And unfortunately, she nor her students were able to make it. But during that time, we had a chance to interview her. So if you visit sharinghisenergygallery.net, CanTV 611, you will be able to learn more about this organization directly from Julie. And since then, there was Richard, who is also East's brother, Richard and Heather, who I just came to love. I had a great opportunity to meet both of them and their daughter and niece, Joe and Tally, and just really amazing people. I want to say that everybody there has been quite amazing, but they created a documentary based on this project, and it's won a couple of awards already. So again, you can visit our website, and there you will also be able to check out this documentary and understand this on a little bit of a different level. Right after this segment, you will be able to capture a little bit of what was recorded from directly what we were able to record, and meet some of the artists that were there this year. And most of them are recurring artists from my understanding. It's a family of its own worldwide. East, do you want to talk to us a little bit more about the artists that were there?
Yeah, so we had several artists. It's been a slow procurement of different artists over the years. They all contributed and they all did their part, and we thank them for their contributions. But it came to a point where there were certain ones that stood out and kind of fit in and created almost a family setting. And once that occurred, it was like it was hard to break that up and say we want to be able to spotlight other artists and give other artists a chance, of course. But when you start to create something that creates this family and everybody has a direct understanding of what they're getting into, the youth, the locals, they all start to recognize faces. They start to welcome you back. It's hard to kind of break that up. So it's become kind of this certain team at this point where we've all, melded together and feel like we've contributed and created something that now the community holds dear and recognizes. Um, and there's so many things that go into that. Participating in what the Lakotas offer, whereas every morning we do a prayer and drum circle, every night we do another closing prayer and drum circle. Just showing that you go to all of these, you participate in them, you show your thanks and you show your gratitude. It's not just us coming there, painting them, and us expecting them to show us gratitude for coming there and painting it for them, but we return that 100%. We do our best to try and engage ourselves with what is going on in their lives, what kind of rituals that they want to interact with and engage us with. And I think that marriage of the two and the mutual respect of the two, of us respecting their rituals and their culture, and them respecting us coming in and doing our art and trying to portray some kind of positivity and inject that into the community, I think that marriage has really created a strong bond. So at this point, I think we have a pretty strong base of artists who always look forward to coming back every year. And this year we had 3 Chicago artists too, so which ties back to the family resemblance.
Cecil, who you guys all had a chance to meet before, one of our previous seasons, and also he was with us either season 10 or season 11 because he was the moderator for one of the panel discussions that we had while we were celebrating family resemblance. And then while I was there, I had the chance to meet Lost, LAWST, who was originally from Chicago and moved over to the Twin Cities. And he was there with his significant other, Luscious. And so that was another really special bond to see this couple come together and share their love and their experience to their son. And that was just amazing. I want to give a shout out to the pain donor from Dope.
Third.
Third.
Yep. So all day supply. Thank you.
Thank you, Third. And all of the other artists who were there, Sci-Fi, I'm going to try to get everybody right, and I'm going to, of course, list people. Hoka, Tammy, whose daughter passed away, and we share significant, deepest condolences. And this just happened, and still she came out as a form of therapy because that's what art does. Many indigenous women, all of the women that were there painting, aside from Luscious, were native, so that was pretty special. Biafra.
Yep. Biafra.
Biafra, their baby Charles, who came out.
Yuku, Resmo, Angelina 179, Lakota, who is chief, he's now working there. So they now have a graffiti writer on staff, which is really nice. So he's also dipping in and helping out. So many other artists. You were a participating artist this year.
I was not a featured artist.
Not a featured, but a participating artist. You painted just as much, if not more, than anyone. I brought my son, Tick, who was in the family resemblance show. And so again, we're showing, family resemblance. We're showing evolution. So he came and he painted. Are we missing anyone? Tiso, we mentioned, Lost, Luscious.
I just met many of these people. The only people that I knew walking in were obviously Tiso, because they were the Chicagoans. But once I was there, I was greeted definitely with open arms. Julie made me a skirt. Thank you, Julie. And it was just a beautiful culture, definitely a beautiful environment. Jared, who came out from Tennessee with his mother and the kids, that was really special. So we spent about 4 or 5 days of just painting and painting and painting nonstop. Um, and that was really, really special.
You, Jared.
Um, to everybody. And I think one of the things that was most special was the community. You have people in the middle of nowhere, as he's mentioned, and they just kept thinking over and over, thank you for the murals, thank you for the murals. You know, people are jealous of this little tiny, tiny, tiny town because of the murals. And that really stood out of how many people are coming in from all over the world to participate in just share that love, share that culture. Like you mentioned when we had Julie on the show before, we talked about graffiti and this culture being sort of for the underdogs. Really, it comes down to humanity. And I think that that's been really, really important. Um, so, like East mentioned, there were a lot of traditional things that really gives thanks to the earth, such as prayer. And one of the interviews that we unfortunately lost, um, no pun intended, but we did lose some footage.
Yeah,
And
with Lost and Teasel.
with Lost and Tiso. And one of the things that Lost talked about, which I'm really sad that we lost that footage because he spoke so well on this, was how he himself is half Native, half Puerto Rican, growing up in Chicago, but he didn't learn more about his roots until he met his partner. And he really recognized some of these traditions that were going on while we were there at the reservation, which included an 8:30 morning prayer, drum beats, and that closed out at 5:30 on a daily basis. So something that was really important was praying together, coming together in the morning, coming together in the evening to give thanks, not just to each other, but to our roots, to the elements of the earth, and to come together and eat. Eating together, I mean, I don't mean to get too spiritual, whatever your spiritual beliefs are, but breaking bread has always been extremely sacred. So sitting together in a table, breaking bread, whatever that bread may be, has strong significance. And that feeling is just, you just, it's community. It's really coming together and forming that unity that truly blesses and gives more energy. And at the end of the celebration, there were a couple performances, and some of them even said, "Give us class that feeds us energy." So it's always that support that's always needed. Do you want to talk to us about what the drum circles meant to you?
It's just, it's an unexplained thing. Every year I come, and I too am still learning about and exploring my indigenous roots. I'm Cherokee out of Oklahoma. It was something that was, for a while when I was a kid, it was celebrated in my household. And then one day everything just seemed to shut up and disappear. And I'm not sure how that all occurred. Uh, so when I, as a young kid, I remember my sister and I always running around and bragging to each other that we're Cherokee and just having a good time. We always had, indigenous related toys and Cherokee games that we played. And like I said, and all of a sudden, all the artwork and all of the masks and just all the talk about it suddenly dissipated. And my understanding as I got older, after talking to my mother, was that, it was because my grandparents and so many of my family members were afraid of racism and being looked down upon. And, they were trying to fit in and do the whole keep up with the Joneses thing. And because of that, our cultural background kind of got lost. So hearing these drum circles, it just brings out a feeling of almost tribal feeling that I didn't even know existed until I started going to Red Can. And when that beat starts going and you can feel it, it's like it's your heartbeat and it just pulls out of you. And I don't think I've rarely, if ever, had a dry eye at any of the drum circles. It's just I close my eyes, I can see visions, I can feel the ground, I can feel the heartbeat, and I can just feel it tugging at my soul. And it's just the most incredible feeling. And it's, besides the people and the work we're doing, it's that that draws me back. Being back in touch with, my roots and the other indigenous people who are just fighting to stay alive and to be noticed and to show everyone we matter, So it's just been, it's been a real blessing all around in so many ways, so many ways. And then breaking bread too. We get to enjoy indigenous foods, buffalo and flatbread, and so many wonderful root vegetables. Just the simplest food, but just does more than just feed you. It feeds your body and your soul. And to have them share those simple foods and the things that nourish them and to nourish us with that also is just such a blessing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And every time there was a new baby, Julie wanted to make sure that the baby was welcome, that everybody went around and that the baby being staged. So that all of those elements were super important to recognize. Um, Now we want to talk about this being the eighth annual. It was my first time there, and it was just I can't thank you enough for bringing me out. I've gained so much experience since. I mean, just 1 year ago was the first time that I met Ease, and I've already feel like I've lived so many lives just within 1 year of new experiences. And even though I recognize the importance of graffiti, I think it's taken it to many different levels of understanding. And the more that I understand it, the more I appreciate it, the more we want to share with you. So that you can also understand it and appreciate it. Um, so this year was my first year, but it was your eighth year, and it was your first year that you got to design the poster.
Yeah, 8 years in. There were a few firsts. So 8 years in, I volunteered to finally do the red can poster design. So that was a great little treat to be able to do that, which then means it transferred over to purchasable goods and their gift shop, which all goes back to help native lands and programs. And then also it gets transferred to the t-shirts. So there's all these people walking around with my designer t-shirts. So it's just an incredible feeling in that regard as well. But then, there were certain
The mural.
spots, yeah, that I
The
had.
mural.
Hadn't
Let's talk
painted
about
either.
the mural. Oh my God. The mural, I think, just everybody that passed by the mural, it's not easy. And you will be able to see our mural on our website. If you look at the design that he made and then the mural, the mural just blesses the design. And everybody stopped by and honk, and thank you. And you want to talk to us more about the reaction from the community?
Yeah, I mean,
as they saw the mural?
it created its own life. So it was to mimic the poster, but through painting and process, it definitely took on its own life. And at some point, I'm sure she will put it up on S.H.E Gallery, process shots and a final shot so that you can kind of get a taste of what that all entailed. But there was one point where I was painting it, and about 4 carloads of people just came rushing in, threw open their doors like it was just like they were going to bum rush us. I had no idea what was going on, and like a dozen people
They were my new artists.
pulled out, and it didn't even matter that I was there and I was the one painting it. They just acted like I didn't even exist. They're just like, get out of the way, we got to get a photo in front of this thing. So it was insane. And then, luckily Jared was there at one point and he said, hey, this is the guy who painted it. And they're like, oh, well, get in here. It's like almost like it didn't exist. It just overpowered me, the artist. It was just, it seemed to speak to the community so quickly and so well that they were just overwhelmed with joy, which is what you can only hope for when you paint something like that. So, yeah, smiles galore.
Sure. And there's various areas in the park and the area of Eagle View that are painted and we showed specifically for this Red Can Graffiti Jam. And what we had was a trailer, and that's where he painted his piece. And it was a 50 by 20 foot container.
Well, it was a
Massive.
Every year I keep thinking when I'm going to come back that trailer is 8 feet by 40 feet. And then I show up and it's not. It's a 50-foot, what's called a 50-foot high cube. So it's 50 feet long and 10 feet high. So there is all that extra room and it just dwarfs you. It's bigger than a subway car. So yeah, it's absolutely massive. So, but so fun. Like we had a really good time doing that, didn't we?
Yeah, so this was another first year that the entire trailer was painted. So it was the side of the mural that he was sponsored to do for the event as a featured artist. And then just for love and fun, we painted the entire of the container.
360 view of that whole, the first time that's ever been done there.
Yes.
That was a lot of work.
From head to toe, and you can still see
Yeah, 2.5 days straight we were there.
Yeah, and then at the park, we also painted a mural together. Before we got there, we also painted at Rapid City, the art alley, which is known, it's a historical area for muraling in their art alley. And
thank God it wasn't graffiti.
thank God it wasn't graffiti. Funny story, because it wouldn't make sense to him say that. Can you please share the story of thank
But
God?
we went on that holiday when the businesses were closed. We had pouring of the wall. So we paint the wall, but by the time we're done, it's dark. We can't get decent photos. So we come back the next day and the business is open and it's blocked by the card of the owner of the shop. So I go around, I go into the shop.
But first you have to go through the garbage to try to
Oh
figure
yeah,
out
so I start digging through the
whose
garbage,
business it belongs to.
looking at
So you just
labels,
have a
shipping
permit for
labels,
the alley.
because I need to know who the person is and which is the right shop. Find that information, go to the front. Just the sweetest two elder women own this incredible gift shop and clothing shop. I go in and I explain what's going on and that we had just painted the mural. She's like, oh my God, I love it. I saw that it was different. Absolutely, I will move my car. So we get out there and she's about to get in her car and I'm like thanking her for doing this. She's like, it's no problem. She's like, we love it. I'm just, thank God it's not graffiti. And I was just like, thank God it's not graffiti. Knowing full well that we just did a graffiti production, but that's, if she loved it, that's all that mattered, and she was willing to move the car so that we could get decent photos, and she was just so sweet about it. But I thought that was pretty hilarious.
And it is, it just goes to show what the education part of this comes about, because many people have many different ideas of graffiti, and I think the first thing that comes to mind is vandalism. And if you go back to, I believe it was season 11, where Trickster hosted with Scheme, who is like, whoa, from New York, very influential writer from that was featured in the movie Style Wars, which was extremely influential to all of graffiti all over the world. And thank you, Scheme, again, over and over for remaining so humble and being such a great supporter. But Scheme really continues to talk about that, why they refused to call it graffiti, style writing, graffiti, because they knew that it was going to be associated with ghettos or vandalism. And so that just goes deeper into the educational aspect of it. And we can go on and on about that, but we only have a few minutes left. So again, I want to thank again, East. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you everybody from the Cheyenne River Youth Project.
Absolutely. And anybody we may have forgotten, we apologize, but we love you and be blessed.
Yeah, and then right after this segment, you'll again get to hear those introductions. So you'll all get to meet every single artist that was there, even if it's just a quick introduction and from where they're from. And again, next season you'll be with us live with 179 Angie Angel, and she'll talk a little bit more about the influence when she met me. She said, "Thank you so much. You had East on your show, and I used to look up to him." And it just continues to show us how much the power of influence, the power of muraling, the power of graffiti, and how it continues to unite the people. Also, we are looking forward to Break Parade and the B-Boy B. We'll be working with them next week. They're doing a 3-week event celebrating hip hop in Chicago, and they invited S.H.E Gallery and myself to be part of the celebration. So July 22nd, they're hosting a gala at Hairpin in Milwaukee, Hairpin Art Center, which is also a great platform for Chicago artists. And on the 23rd, we'll have a panel discussion on the triumphs, successes, and achievements for the artists that are involved with hip hop. So we look forward to that. And then October 22nd, Newberry Library has invited us to be a part of their exhibit for the graffiti program, and that is called 500 Years of Writing. It's such an honor that an institution like the Newberry Library will recognize graffiti.
Absolutely, it's wonderful.
Yes, so you will be able to check us out there with East and Pamela, and just thank you again. We look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.
Peace. Thank you.
Hello and welcome back to the S.H.E Gallery Show. This is season 12. We are kicking this off directly from Eagle Butte in South Dakota. You guys have met Julie before, and East and Teasel, and we have a bunch of new members. We're so excited to introduce everybody. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask all of the featured artists from Red Can. We've talked about this annual event. This is the 8th annual event for Red Can, which is the graffiti jam that you'll hear more about from Julie. Julie.
Hey there, hi. So yeah, this is our 8th year. The Red Can Graffiti Jam is sponsored by the Cheyenne River Youth Project. We're a nonprofit located on the Cheyenne River Reservation in South Dakota. It is, I think, one of the only Indian country graffiti jams in Lakota territory. So we're welcoming back artists who have returned all 8 years, and we also have some new artists joining us this year.
All right. Let's hear from every single individual artist. You can make a quick introduction and let us know where you're from and how many years you've been here.
Bujuani, Miskatu Swaptanom, Indigenous cause, Gimme Wanabo, Koi Indigenous cause, Makon and Dudem, Ogohin and Dujaba, Ashke, Bigazibing and Dea. Hello, my artist name is Lucid or Luscious. I'm a member of Martin Falls First Nation and Constance Lakes First Nation. This is my 2nd year at Red Can. I'm happy to be here as an Indigenous artist and working with young people.
Thank you.
Hello, S.H.E Natasha Martinez, S.H.E Hanagathi Inchlan, Naka Blashichin, Sidnajani Dashanelli, Naka Dashache. My artist name is Resmo. I'm originally from New Mexico, but I live on the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community in Arizona. This is my 1st year at Red Can, and I'm really excited to be here.
My name is Cleo Macy. My artist name is Cleo, and I am from Warm Springs, Oregon. I am law school, Warm Springs, and Nez Perce. This is my 1st year at Red Can, and I'm just happy to be here.
And Cleo almost didn't make it, so we're happy that she's here too.
My name is Angelina Villalobos. I'm an artist from Seattle, Washington, and this is my 2nd year being here in South Dakota and my 3rd year participating. I did it when it was virtual. I'm happy to be here.
Yay, happy belated birthday again.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tammy Joy. I am a Kazi Joe Hunkbaba, Lakota, Dakota from China.
Hi, Tizo from Chicago. My second year here at Red Can. Honored and welcome. Thank you.
Bujuani and Zungade, Benesi and Dudem. My artist name is Loss. I'm originally from Chicago and now reside in Twin Cities. This is my 2nd year at Red Can and glad to be invited back again and show space with all of you guys here.
Thank you.
I am East. I'm originally from Chicago, now residing in Denver, and this is my 8th year participating.
Thank you, East. You guys will hear more from the Chicago artists in just a second.
Sci-Fi, Tucson, Arizona, Minneapolis transplant, 7th year, Red Can. Happy to be here.
Biafra from Minneapolis and 8th year. Okay, Skenandor. So Sagoli and Haumatakiapi to all my relatives and Turtle Clan fan. This is, I think, my 4th year. I've been here so long, I don't quite remember how many years it's been, but always glad to be back.
Thank you.
Lyosin Chenyawu, Inapo Yuku. My artist name is Yuku from the Pasoyaki Reservation in Tucson, Arizona. This is my 1st year. I'm just happy to be here. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And now you'll hear a little bit more from the Chicago artists, as well as Julie and Heather. If you visit our website at sharinghisenergygallery.net, you'll be able to see, you'll find out more information about this organization. There's a great documentary that was produced by Richard and his wife, Heather. Heather, do you want to talk to us about this production? Introduce yourself.
Sure. My name
documentary.
Absolutely. My name is Heather Steinberger. I work with the Cheyenne River Youth Project. And last year, my husband, Richard, and I, and a couple of colleagues of his got together to produce a documentary for the Cheyenne River Youth Project. It's called Wanietu Wawapi, which means winter count in Lakota. And our goal with it was not only to tell the story of Red Can, but to tell the Cheyenne River Youth Project story from its origins all the way through to the groundbreaking for our new Wanietu Wawapi Art Center. So it was an honor and a privilege to produce that documentary. We were absolutely thrilled to have it accepted into the Latino and Native American Film Festival in South Haven, Connecticut. And we won a social impact award there on behalf of the Cheyenne River Youth Project. So we're very excited to share it with everyone.
Thank you, Heather. And how long did this production take?
Ooh, well, we filmed for 4 days in July last year during Red Can. The lead photographer, excuse me, came back in November, I believe, to do a little more work with the kids and some of the artists. And I think total it was about 7 months of work in editing and post-production. So it was a real labor of love for all of us, and we're just very proud of it.
Beautiful. And many of you can appreciate filmmaking on CAN TV. We know how much time it takes to film something, and usually it's a huge team of people working towards a production. Can you talk to us about your team?
Sure. Our team was our director was Richard Steinberger, who's my husband, and he's been involved with the Shine River Youth Project about as long as I have, about 16 years. He was working with two gentlemen named Joseph Gamble and Drew Bennett, both photographers and videographers out of Colorado. So the three of them were responsible for all the photography that you see in the film. I handled the interviews, and then on the back end work, which a lot of times you see really large teams involved in editing and post-production. And it was really just Richard and I with, door shut hours with the computer and just really wanting to get it right, because Red Can is a family. And so it's the work we were doing was not just on behalf of the Shine River Youth Project, it was on behalf of all of the artists that have been so generous with their time and their, with the art, with the kids, all of it. We wanted to do everyone proud. So we worked very, very hard on it, and it came together, I think.
Thank you. I think that's the beauty about this that everybody comes together and becomes a family. Here you have our Chicago members. We have TISO, we just met Lost. You all know East. And now you met Heather and Julie. And we've been celebrating in Chicago family resemblance, the evolution of Chicago style graffiti. But that first aspect of it, family resemblance, is really resembled throughout these lands here too. Now we're talking about you being a part of the Cheyenne River Youth Program for 16 years. You want to talk to us a little bit about your family here and how you guys adopted each other and your daughter, Jo? They're literally brothers.
Yeah,
we should start.
Let's talk about this project.
So, what happened with us is with East and Heather and Richard and another woman who is not with us because of COVID this year, Winifred, we went through a hukah ceremony, which is a Lakota ceremony to adopt each other. And it's actually a ceremony that we were just talking about the other night, that it is stronger than blood. It is stronger than your blood relatives, because we chose each other. So we chose each other and we are relatives. And so East really doesn't have an option of not returning because I'm his sister now. So I get to, boss him around. But so that's basically what happened. But I think it's really a reflection of the Shine River Youth Project as a whole organization. It's definitely a reflection of the Red Can Graffiti Jam, where relationships are really what move everything forward. Relationships are the foundation of all the work that we're doing here, building good relationships, healthy relationships that are just all about building our community, our Lakota community, and lifting us up through art. We've really learned at CRYP just how important art is to our own healing. In the Lakota culture, there is no word for art. It is all life ways. So I think what we're doing here might be a little bit interesting and different than you might imagine, but the kids love it. We love it. The artists who bring their artwork to life here is completely loved and respected. And, the very first year was a little interesting because no one knew what to expect. But by year 8, East was talking about how people were coming by, jumping out of vans, yelling at them, encouraging them. And so Red Can has become, again, like all of our programs, has become part of the fabric of our community. So we look forward to it every year.
Thank you so much. And Heather, how did you learn about Red Can? And I believe you started here with one purpose, and then it took its own life. Or a life of its own, I should say.
Absolutely. I just want to back the truck up a little bit because it all connects to the story. I began with CRYP as a volunteer in 2006. And at that time, we just had the Little Maine Youth Center for 4 to 12-year-olds. And art has always been part of what we do here. We did a lot of arts and crafts with the kids. And as I became involved as a staff member, I watched that evolve into teen internships and Lakota art fellowships and all of that. And at one point, I think it was in 2013 with the first spray can class.
Maybe, 2013, 2014.
So we started with a graffiti can control class for the kids because Julie thought that that was something that would really resonate with them as kind of like the next natural step for our arts programming. And it just took off. And so we thought, wow, the kids love this. This is a great fit for us. Let's make a wall. Let's make a wall that people can paint on. And that became the art park, and that became a graffiti jam. And as Julie often says, it's a big leap to go from making things on paper to making things on buildings. It's a big leap, but it's a natural leap. And it was one that just proved to be a really good fit for us. So the first Red Can was in 2015. And of course, now we're in our 8th year, and we've seen it go from being a graffiti jam to being something that's much harder to define. It's an arts and culture festival. It's a coming together. It's a lifting up of community. I think it's grown and changed in ways we never could have expected in the beginning.
Beautiful. Thank you, Heather.